Many people have asked me, how is it that one can love in the past and in the future? And I've always felt weirded out a bit, or, well, I always felt confused about this question. See, what people told me or wanted to tell me is how can one handle or deal with loves of the past and love of the future, or how they can deal with events of the past and prepare themselves for the future. I said, see, the past is something that has happened, and there's nothing much to change other than your perception, especially your emotional attachment towards it. And the future is a mystery. Yes? That's why, the moment we live in is called the present because it's the only gift that we have in life. You can think about the past, you can think about the present, but it don't about and also about the future, but it only happens in the present moment. Yes? Thinking about loves of the past. Well, see, the biggest question is what is it that you're calling love? A lot of people are talking about classifications and terms that most likely they don't feel like they have any clear definition of that, of what those are supposed to mean. What is actually love that people say? People say love is an emotion. People say love is a flow. See, love indeed is a flow. It is a state that does not necessarily belong to you. It is something that you either align yourself to or, well, you don't. Depending on someone's level of ignorance, or if you want to call the other term, the opposite term, if you think of someone's level of awareness or ignorance, depends which of the two you want or you feel more comfortable with, because it's the same, well, they kind of represent the same scale. The point is, someone will be more in tune with love or not. Yes, ignorance are not in tune with love because, well, they don't care much about themselves and obviously they won't care at all about their life. They're not willing to embrace the fact that life is actually a beautiful gift. When it comes to us and this idea of love, see, people call love as a force that attracts. Yes, in philosophy, probably psychology as well. When it comes to physics, they speak about gravity as a force that attracts. Yes? What if the two are actually the same fucking thing? Because when you ask people, what is love? They'll probably give you some cheesy philosophical definitions. If you ask people, what is gravity scientifically speaking? They'll probably give you, yet again, some cheesy definitions. Yes? They'll probably tell you about particles and whatever. What if gravity is something beyond this dimension? Yes. What if it is something, not even a force? What if it is something that coalesces this universe? Yes. Because when you learn at school, hopefully you've been paying attention, there are things that are interconnected, and obviously there are the things that interconnect them. See, when you think, for example, of a biome, yes, or an environment, since everyone apparently is so fucking, bothered with environments and environmental protection. See, an environment is basically the sum of the biological aspects of it, the non biological aspects of it, or we can put here weather, topology, and all sorts of other parameters, as well as all the links in between the biological and obviously non biological pieces of that environment. Yes. In many cases, people forget the links. Yes. People forget that we humans are bound one to the other, one way or another. We are interconnected from a certain standpoint of consciousness. They call it one single consciousness. We are one consciousness as a whole human race, not as subdivisions designed in order to keep us divided so that we constantly war against one another. Yes? So, what if the love that you're philosophically talking about is nothing else but the same actual concept with your scientific concept of gravity? Yes. I think even Interstellar, the movie, presented that indirectly. Maybe it is a truth or not. This is something that does not concern me at all. See, when it comes to the idea of love in the past, see, the love in the past was something that you probably gave to someone, yes? That's how people pronounce things. That's how people feel about those. That love is something that you give. No, love is just an example. You either are connected with it, or well, let's say in tune, or not. Imagine you as being a dam. Yes, you know those things that block water, and they have certain, uh, let's call them doors, that they open and they allow water to flow through, allowing therefore, you know, for water to come through. Yes, and then obviously electricity is generated. Yes, it can happen, obviously. But the very simple fact is this. In life, everything is a flow. Yes. Consider yourself and your physical body like a kind of dam. And you have certain structures like these that you either turn on or you turn off through your ignorance or through your actions that are conscious. Once you allow energies to flow freely through you and you don't dwell on attachments too much, you don't dwell too much on the distractions that your mind can give you, then your life will feel more flowy. It will feel more calm. It will feel as if everything is being put into place without much resistance. The only resistance that you have in your life is you, not the people that fight against you. The people who fight against you most likely fight against themselves for sure. Yes? So the very simple point is this. In time, one has to realize that life is about living it, not worrying too much about the past and what you could have done better. Because if you have known better, you most likely would have done better. If you are physically, emotionally, and or psychologically capable of doing better, you would have done so. But probably you had tiredness. Probably you had a lot of, excuses and the such. You did the best that you could at that time. Yes, you could not have done any better because of a lot of parameters. If you think about the future, the problem is a lot of people think about the future only from perspectives of the past. See, if you want to love someone in the future, but you can't go on because of the past. See, in order to open yourself to the future, in order to open yourself to a new such love, one has to embrace the fact that the old loves have to be let be. Yes? If you have a cup and it is full, you simply cannot add anything else because, it will be an excess. It will be lost. It will be you know, it will be nothing else than a spill. Yes, it will be a waste of resources. You can look at other people as a cup. Yes, if that cup knows to empty itself from time to time, that is the best case. If the cup is always full, reminiscent of people who are probably always full of themselves, what else can you grant them? What else can you give them? They're full of themselves already. So the point is, you cannot give them anything because they already consider themselves perfect. They only need you just because they probably require some validation or attention. Yes, people with low IQ, people with low esteem, they always require validation. That's why they're always noisy. But they also have to invent grandioseness in their life because they're not doing anything with it. And obviously, they don't like the misery that their life is. So obviously, they will have to do this and that. They will have to interpret. They will have to invent things. Yes? If they can't find a way out, they have to invent reasons for why they are trapped. And, well, the only thing remaining is to simply Stockholm Syndrome the prison. Yes? They make love with the prison. They embrace it. It becomes their comfort zone. Yes? Similarly, there are the people who are the empty cups, or I call them the broken cups. It doesn't matter how much you pour in, it's never going to be filled. Yes, those are the people who always bitch, whine, and complain. Nothing ever changes, nothing ever becomes better in their life. They're always complaining about everything. There are such people, and well, just leave them be. They are nothing else but vampires without attention. And if you want to give your energy to them, you're not respecting your own self. You're not respecting the holiness that your sanctuary actually is. Your physical body, you have to treat it as a sanctuary. Because anyways, you're supposed to sleep around 8 hours, 6 hours, some have to sleep more, so that you have the energy for that current day. And if you want to spill it uselessly on people who either have a full cup and it's going to be a waste, or who are broken cups and irrespective of how much you pour, it's never going to fill, well, that's going to also be a waste. So if you want to prepare yourself for a future love, just make sure that anything about the past, you slowly and surely make peace with it. You have done anything that you could. You are not probably equipped emotionally, mentally, and or psychologically for those. In many situations, you will have to fail in order to learn something. That's how life learns. Yes, when you look at nature, I've always told people if you don't know how to be a, a living being, just look at nature. It already has all the living forms there who have been living billions of years before us. So you can always take examples from them. When you look at any mammalian race, or, well, species, as whatever way you want to call it, or even reptiles or any other kind, you will see that the females, the first few times that they become mothers, many of their cubs, kittens, litter, whatever they're called, many of them they will die. Many of their generations will be less successful if they are the first ones because, well, the mother needs experience in order to become a nurturing mother. Yes? And in the wild, anything can happen. Even with experience, she can still lose her cubs. Yes? So animals always fail, but they keep moving on. Yes? Do you think they don't suffer emotionally? They also suffer emotionally. But the difference in between them and us is our comfort. You lie in a world where you have all the time in the world, apparently, because you're comfortable. You have apparently all the time in the world, to complain, bitch, whine, and the such, until something breaks within your body and suddenly you realize your mortality. And the moment people realize their mortality, oh my gosh, doesn't their life improve like skyrocketing, not just improve? Yes, because finally they realize they have to do something with their fucking life so that they finally feel, at least for once, pleased that they achieved something. Some may still not feel pleased with anything that they do. That's another lesson they have to lesson. They have to learn for themselves. You're not going to teach them certain lessons. You can try as much as you want. It's going to be hard, yes, but they have to realize the meanings by themselves. Yes? So, with such people, you have to understand that they are not yet prepared for certain things in life. They have to learn, much like everyone has. If you are advanced compared to others, well, you have to live at your own level. You can't homeschool others who are not your own level because you will remain behind and you will feel dissatisfied with life. You are giving birth to possible frustrations, to possible regrets that you could have done more instead of, helping others. As I said, spilling in a cup that is already full, it's going to be a waste. Spilling in a, cup that's broken, obviously is going to be a waste as well. So if you want to prepare yourself, if you want to love in the future, better become a loving person first. Yes, because if you are still a ruin, you're going to find yet another ruin most likely. And two ruins don't do good to good people. Yes. So in order for things to become better, first become a loving person. Yes. A lot of people simply suck entirely at this. Once you become a loving person, your life should become better because everything in your life will flow normally, will flow naturally. Yes, because that is what it means to be a loving person. Everything in your life, everything that you do in your life, every energy of your body simply flows with as little resistance as possible because you no longer have that many attachments to the past, to whatever you could have improved. It doesn't matter what you could have improved. Take that as a lesson and know what you can improve in the future. Yes. Well, when the time comes to do something, everything that you call a failure in the past is a lesson to take and make use of as much as possible in the present. Also remember that, it's possible that you will forget it. Yes. Or you simply might not have it in your mind at a certain moment and you'll probably overjudge yourself. People indulge in self judgment, in self criticism, because it's a good distraction from the misery of their own life. But making yourself miserable to distract yourself from your misery is definitely not a wise way to go forward. Yes. So if you want to make the preparations for a future love, make sure that you're not poisoned with any loves of the past. Yes. because love is something that you live by. It's not a feeling or an emotion or not even a mental state as well. Yes, it is a state of life. And in this situation, two people will embrace one another and they will live without much attachment for as long as they have to. Because even in perfect love, some people will not be able to live too much together. They might have, let's say, a mission from beyond the grave that they will meet. They will exchange certain information, certain emotions, certain experiences, and then they will part ways. Because people will come and people will go in their life, and obviously in yours as well. So one has to always be prepared for the fact that your life will be, in a way, without a so-called love. And one has to understand the fact that your life has to be at most equally similar with a love. And yet again, should that love happen to end, because naturally it can end. It's not that neither was ready or neither was better or neither was good enough for the other. Simply it can happen even in the so-called perfect love. Yes. Some people simply need to move on. Yes. There's nothing wrong about them. It's just that they have to move on. And it can happen with everyone. Yes. Even in perfect love that can happen. So in your fucked up relationships and the such, why would you be surprised that one of the persons leaves? Yes. It's always necessary to leave. In a toxic relationship, one's a consumer and one is someone who gives. Yes. It's not good to be the consumer much. It's not good to be the battery as well. Yes. It's not pleasant in either of the cases because one becomes a vampire after a lot of abuse, of abandonment, and one becomes, a battery just because they've never been broken in life, just because they haven't learned limits. Yes. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated. Take care. Enjoy life. This being said, Ferinjan Board signing out.